Hi, and welcome to the BookishStitcher podcast. My name is Jeanette. You can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and Goodreads as BookishStitcher, all one word. I hope you've had a wonderful week since I last podcasted. This is the Jeanette of the past coming to you in the future. For you watching this, it'll be its normal uploading day, but for me, I just podcasted 2 days ago. This is, I'm pre-recording this so that it can go up while I'm gone. Because while you're watching this, I will be halfway home, but not all the way home from Into the Wool, which I'm going to with my friend Heidi because she's vending there. And she asked if I would come and help her with her booth stuff. And I am excited because I've never gotten to do that before. So it should be lots of fun. And there's going to be other friends there that I'm just really looking forward to spending time just relaxing and knitting. And the place we're going is in Tennessee, and we're driving, not flying, because that was one of the big reasons, other than friends and getting to go hang out, but that Heidi offered to drive me so I don't have to fly. It's going to be great, but they have cooler weathers at night in Tennessee than we're having in Texas right now. So I'm so excited about sitting outside some in the early morning and then in the evening to the cooler temperatures, and I'm bringing some knitwear, stuff like that, so it'll be great. And even though it hasn't been that long since I podcasted, a lot has happened here in our house. You may remember 2 months ago, roughly, that my house got flooded. So it has been in chaos, and I'm coming to you tonight. It's at nighttime here, and I'm actually in the middle of packing. No makeup, kind of very nice blush on my face from running around packing and things like that. So just a fun little episode without much fanciness to it. But so our house had flooded, and we've been living with carpet that is kind of ripped up and having to avoid carpet staples and concrete floor and everything. And it's just kind of very, not even rustic, just kind of chaotic. And so we finally got the guys to come and fix it this week. And it was so funny, you guys, because 2 different people did the different things that had to be done. And it could not have been more night and day with the workers. On Monday, the man came to put down the tile, and my daughter and I were actually hiding out in the bedroom, some of it. And my poor cats, my dog slept through it, he didn't care. My poor cats, they had figured out how to open the cupboards and were hiding in the cupboards because this man, stuff must not have been going exactly how he wanted, because he had his earbuds in, and he was very friendly when he first arrived, but he'd be singing along and you'd think everything was going great, and then next minute he would be screaming and cursing and throwing his tools around, and it was very disconcerting to me and kind of scary. So I was texting my husband, was like, the guy seems angry. Faye and I are, my daughter's name is Faye, and my son was at school. Faye and I are hiding upstairs till he's done, because there was some screaming and cursing and slamming doors, and it wasn't just like one time, but it was like every couple of minutes. And it would go from whistling a happy tune to screaming and throwing things, and it was kind of crazy. And then today, a man came to do the carpet because we had no carpet pad because it had all flooded and gotten ruined, and he had to stretch it back out and everything. And the carpet guy was amazing. I had music on. He and I were talking about bands that we liked. I was dyeing yarn while he was pulling up the carpet, and he was just awesome. He let my daughter talk to him for a while, and he was reading books with her, and then she was watching a show for a little while I was dyeing some yarn so that she wouldn't be near the dye stuff. But he was great and super sweet, and so it was complete night and day between the 2 experiences of the 2 people that were at our house. But I just thought that was so funny. It was definitely an experience. I've never had somebody in the house working on it that was yelling and screaming and throwing things. It was kind of scary. But now I'm going to show you guys, because I talked about on the last episode, and I'm going to Into the Wool, and I wanted to have some travel knitting things. So the first thing that I have, I'm not going to take out and show you because my husband is going to be uploading this to YouTube for me. And it's a super secret project for him. And so if you've watched the podcast before, you'll know what it is. But it's in this Fat Squirrel bag. And probably next week, it will be finished by the time by the time I next record. But probably the next time I will tell him not to watch the podcast, and because he watches it every week because he's such a sweetheart. And I can show this to you. But I'm glad that this first one's almost done. And then next I cast on let's see. So in a You Sew and Sew bag, is that? It's very fun, kind of patchwork quilt bag. I cast on the Lilli Pilli, which was a pattern gifted to me by my friend Jennifer, who's Ironical Knitter. I don't know if it's for my birthday or for Christmas, but it requires 3 yarns, but brought the 2 that I'm going to be using because the Lilli Pilli is a shawl that is done in sections of stripes and then lace panel. And I'm talked about, the reason why I have these on the needles is because I cannot, like my shawl that I have working on right now is in the brioche section. I need really simple things while I am at retreats or events or festivals because when I'm listening to people talk, I get very into listening and remembering everything they've said and stuff, so into it that I can't focus on other things. So the 2 yarns, I just barely cast on these, and I need to actually write the pattern because it's simple, but I want to have it in here. It's just like knit 2 together. And, you know, the stripe section's pretty easy. I don't want to give away the pattern, but it's definitely just simple knitting. But the 2 yarns I'm using, Lazy Cat yarns, and then Tumbleweed, and this one is a gray. It's called Don't Blink, and then the other one is called Rutabaga. And so I just cast on the Rutabaga. It's kind of packed in here, but those are the 2 yarns that are going to be striped, so I think it'll be very pretty. And then the lace section, when I get around to doing it when I get home, will be in a white. So purpley pink, a gray, and a white. I thought that would be beautiful. So that's the Lilli Pilli shawl. And then the next thing, this is kind of one of my honestly go-to travel projects. I've almost always had one of these whenever I've gone to a thing that is more than 1 day. But this is in another You Sew and Sew bag. It's kind of, there you can see it. This is a Sockhead hat because the Sockhead hat is so perfect for travel knitting. You know, at the beginning it's just ribbing and then it's plain knitting, and so this, oh, it's so pretty. And I wanted to tell you guys, oh, I forgot to bring down the tag. I wanted to tell you guys, last year, we're going to be doing the same thing that we did last year. Last year in September and October, we did like a Tweed-a-long where you knit with tweed during the fall. Now we're going to be doing that again, and I'll put up a thread for that in the group, the BookishStitcher group on Ravelry. But this is the yarn I'm using, and it's a Mint Rain in the plum colorway. So it's almost a variegated in parts. I didn't, when I skeined it up, or when I unskeined it to wind it, I could see a lot more of the variation. There's some very bright pink parts almost, and there's some darker purples. So it's nicely variegated. See, there's a bright pink part. And I just barely cast on. I'm going to be doing the ribbing, but I love tweed, and I think this will be a good hat color for me. You might, but I am also going to be dyeing up some tweed for in the shop, and just kind of a miniature. It's not going to be an actual like themed update, like a big theme, because I just wanted to do a little bit of tweed because for the knit along, if anybody wanted to get some tweed to knit along, and just if anybody wanted to get tweed in general, because I love tweed, and I was going to do just a miniature collection of some different like fall kind of things, so in tweed colorways. But yeah, that's Mint Rain in plum. And I do on my Sockhead hats, it depends who it's for, but this one will be for me. I think this is my second one for me. I do about 4 4.5, 5 inches of ribbing because I like to fold over the brim, and then when it's folded over I like to have enough to cover my forehead. And then I don't do as much slouch as the pattern calls for, but close to it. I have a Snoopy Halloween cup that I stole from my children. But yeah, so that's another project because I just want to have a lot of variety. And then, since I'm going to be working in my friend Heidi's booth for Undead Yarn, I thought it would be fun to be working on a skein of Undead Yarn while I'm at the booth so people can see her yarn in action. And so this is Undead Yarn. And I think this is either my last skein or one of my last skeins of her yarn, and so I need to get some more. I'm getting some more at the next, I think she is vending at Stitches, Texas as well, so I'll be getting some more of hers there. But yeah, I think I have more of her yarn than almost any other indie dyed. Hers and Neilly's knits, I have a lot of. But this is called Children of the Cornflower. She does all of hers in themes of a lot of horror movies and stuff like that, hence the Undead name. And this is her witch base, and it is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. It's a sport weight and it's 274 yards, and I wound it into a ball like this because I just love it. But you have this light purplish blue, and then you have the corn colored, wheat color of different yellowish browns, and then you have this tiny little pop of orange in every one. And my son's birthday is in October, and his favorite colors are blue and orange. So these are going to be birthday socks for him, and I just barely cast on. I just wanted everything ready to go. So this is going to be fun. I think I do have one other skein of hers. It's a fingering weight in a pink and purple, very pretty yarn. So those are all. This one doesn't have a project back for it. I need to get one tonight. I'm still packing, trying to remember all I need to take. I always forget something. Normally I'm like, oh, it's fine because I'm normally in a populated area where I can get what I need. But not this time. I think it's very rustic, kind of camping style. So I hope that there's a spot where I can get cell phone reception because I like to have very frequent text updates about how my kids are doing, as my husband can tell you. I like to know what's going on with the kids. So the next thing I brought down, I haven't cast on yet, but there is a teacher that is going to be there, and everybody gets a class. And so the teacher is Nell Knit, and she has a whole bunch of different patterns on Ravelry, and I wasn't really sure which class of hers to take because I just some of the ones I already knew how to do, and then other ones I didn't know if I would use it. And so this one I thought I would use, and that it would make a great gift. So the class I am taking is how to make her Saki, Saki slippers, and they're a worsted weight. And I just realized I need to get, not right now, but later I need to get some size 6 needles to knit this on, because it would be a shame if I went to class with the yarn and didn't have needles. I wouldn't be able to knit on it then. But the yarn that I grabbed is some Knit Picks Brava worsted, and this is just 100% acrylic, but I think that will be great for slippers. And it's a hunter green, although it's going to appear not the true color, but it's a hunter green. It's pretty soft, and I think I'm going to use this as the slippers as a Christmas present for someone. So that will be nice. And since they're worsted weight, it should be done in a day. I would imagine worsted weight slippers, depending on which size I do. But I'm excited to take that class with Nell Knits. For this event, I'd never heard of her designs before, so this is the first time hearing of her designs and getting to check some of them out. So if you are interested in making some fun slippers, these are the Saki slippers by Nell Knits on Ravelry, and I'll show you what they look like next time I podcast. And so, forgot to bring down the spinning. I finished the singles of the loop bat that I am spinning for Amy Loris, and I forgot to bring them down. I will show them next podcast, and then I will have to, looking over at my calendar, if I show them next podcast, I can get it plied quickly and get it sent to Amy in time for her birthday. Because Amy's birthday is coming up in September, and I want to get her podcast prize by then. And thank you to everyone who won the two people who won the last podcast prize, and they contacted me super quick about that, which is great. And one of them, RDOOSE, Ardoose, is her first time to ever win a prize for a podcast giveaway. So I love hearing that, because I just, it's fun for people to get to win their first time. And so many people on the podcast group have won their very first prize ever on here, so that was wonderful, and I just love hearing that. But yeah, that's for spinning. And then group news for the podcast group on Ravelry. Like I said, September and October we'll be having a Tweed Knit-a-long, and I'll probably get a prize for it at the thing that I'm going to this weekend. I am so excited to use my yarn money from the yarn dyeing that I did to get prizes for you guys. And I'm so excited. I'm going to pick out just a random prize just for Happy Day for when I come back, and I'll show it to you next week, probably a bag and some yarn for you guys, because that's one of my favorite things, is getting prizes to give away, because I just love spreading the joy and happiness of winning a prize. I mean, when people write me and they're like, oh, I've never won before, it makes my week. So that will be a lot of fun, picking it out for you guys. And then I'll also pick out something for the Tweed-a-long. And then also in the group, I will draw for the Summer of Socks when I come back. Because like I said, right now I'm getting ready to go. So you'll have a couple extra days for the summer. I'll probably close it, let's say, September 6th. I will close the Sock Needle Experiment. But yeah, so I'll close that on the 6th. And draw winners for that. And then, let's see, so the short story read-along we have going on in the group right now, it's a year-long short story read-along, and every month is a different short story. And my friend Amy host of Knit Theory, picked the August one, and it was The Cathedral by Raymond Carver, I believe. But this is a story about, let me make sure I have that right. Yes, this is the story about a man who, his wife kind of brings a friend from her past, and he's a blind man. And it's the husband, and the husband is kind of rude to the blind man. He's not very nice, and the writing style I found to be kind of very blunt. It's not poetic at all, which is kind of what I love about short stories or poetry, which is interesting because Raymond Carver is also a poet. But it deals with how this man kind of doesn't want to interact with the blind man, and how, in the actual story takes place in a very short span of time, but how as the evening progresses, they kind of find mutual something to talk about, and it's cathedrals. And so the blind man, the man who has sight, asks the blind man if he's ever, if he knows what a cathedral looks like. And so he says no. And so through the process of this evening, the guy tries to describe it, but then he ends up drawing it for the blind man to kind of feel. And I thought that was a beautiful expression of using what you have at your disposal to communicate and things like that, because Brenda, my friend Brenda, A Good Yarn Shoe, she's helping so much. She's basically doing all the short story read along. Thank you so much, Brenda. I think she or someone else wrote in the thread, because I've been reading it, all the thread stuff, that is kind of like when I went to that wedding reception and there was the lady who was blind, and how I'm not fluent in sign language, but I know the alphabet and a couple words, and so I used the alphabet to kind of talk to that lady who was deaf. And so it's kind of like you use what you have, and so I thought that was great, and I liked reading that. And I like that the husband kind of turned around towards the end with that whole thing. And so I don't have a book that I've finished this week. I reviewed the short stories really quickly there. Oh, and the short story for September, I believe, tell me if I'm wrong about this, Amy, is Choose Your Own, I think. I'm not sure. I'll have to write Amy and find out. But wouldn't be the BookishStitcher if I were going away to something and I didn't have a book with me. So I have an audiobook on my phone because I don't really ever sleep at things. And I just kind of lay in bed the whole night with earbuds in and listen to a book. I'm not a great sleeper if I'm not in my own bed. But then I'm bringing an actual book. And I'm only about a quarter of a way through this. And it is Fates and Furies, a novel by Lauren Groff. And I'm reading this for my summer book bingo challenge. This is my actual square that is pick a book with an ugly cover. I feel bad saying that, but it's not ugly. It's just, I don't know, it's not super visually appealing to me, this cover of this book. But this was a book that I had gotten a while ago because it was going to be on the, is it the long list for the Booker Prize or something? It was some prize. They had a long list going, and I decided that I was going to read my way through the list, and that was a while ago. So I obviously failed at reading it in a timely manner, but I'm getting around to it. And this book is a story of a marriage, and I'm on the first part of the marriage, which is the part about Lotto or Lancelot, and he's married to Mathilde. I forget how to say her name, but he calls her M a lot in the story, so that's why I can't remember the exact thing. He just calls her M. And there's going to be a twist. I know that. I'm, of course, if you know there's a twist, as you're reading, you're going along thinking, okay, could this be the twist? Maybe the twist is this. What's the twist? And I've been skipping a few sections because there is kind of explicit stuff in this that I don't really like to read because I know so many people that doesn't bother, and my friends always tease me about it, but it just feels weird to me reading about that kind of stuff. But, so Lancelot is a boy who was born into privilege and wealth in Florida, and he goes up to the Upper East Coast. His mom sends him away to a boys' boarding school. This is just what I've read so far, and I'll review the whole book later, but sends him to a boys' boarding school because he's getting in with the wrong crowd of some lower class drug using kids. And so she sends him away, and he's always been known by everyone around him as like the bright shining star, the boy that can charm anyone, and everybody expects him to do amazing things. And he charms his way into a lot of girls' rooms. That's been a lot of it so far, and he's always kind of wanted to be an actor, and it kind of goes into his trying to become that, but he's very, very tall, so it's hard for him to get roles, and just, I won't ruin any more of this part of it, but it deals a lot with how he kind of thinks of his wife as a saint, and this most amazing woman for putting up with him, and all that kind of stuff, but the writing it's okay so far, and I thought the first chapter had that part where where the author speaks to the audience and kind of acknowledges that there is a reader and doesn't try is it called speaking beyond the curtain or something? I don't remember the exact term for it. It's super late here at night. It's past my bedtime, and I still have to pack, but the author speaks to the audience, which I love. They did that in Night Circus, which is one of my favorite books. And so at first when I was reading it in the very first couple pages, and she did that, I was like, oh, I'm going to love this book. But then she hasn't really done that much since. But that's where I am right now. So a little over a quarter of the way through. And I don't know how much of this I'll actually get read while I'm gone, but it's good to always have that nearby. Kind of like with Rory from the Gilmore Girls, that television show. I've only seen like the first season or whatnot, but how she always has a book with her. I'm kind of the same way. Even if I don't read it, it's good to know it's there. I have an emergency book in my car, kind of like how people have emergency knitting, and that book has been in there forever, and I think I've only read a couple pages. I should probably alternate what is my emergency book in my car so that the book actually gets read. but it's just a giant, huge book that I don't know if I would have that much interest in reading otherwise. It's just kind of like something, if the world ended and something crazy happened, this huge book would be there for me to read in my car. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to be reading while I'm gone, if I have reading time, which is The Fates and the Furies by Lauren Groff. But I am mostly just really looking forward to sitting and knitting with friends and just chilling. I haven't gotten to do that. Sorry, my elbow's squeaking on the table. I haven't gotten to do that this summer, really. And it's going to be so nice. I was, getting last minute things together and texting with friends that were going to be there and asking if I could wear pajamas the whole time, because that is an amazing retreat thing for me. I just like being really relaxed when I go away to things. It's nice to go away and be with your tribe, as they say, or your people, and just get to spend some time sitting and knitting and not having to worry about everything else. And I know my husband loves getting to get this days of one-on-one time with the kids, because he works so much. But when I go to these things, he stays home from work, takes a little vacation, stay vacation, and get stuff done around the house that he's been wanting to do. And he gets to just spend tons of time with the kids and build pillow forts and all kinds of crazy things, and the kids love it. So it's great on all the ends, and I'm just really looking forward to it. So next time I podcast, I will have gone to that. I'll have some prizes for you guys to show, which I'm so excited to pick stuff out for you. I just love that. And I might allow myself to get 1 or 2 things for me, because my stash is starting to run really low, especially on DK weight yarns. I should take a picture. I have like only a couple left in my stash, because I haven't really been buying yarn at all for months and months. And I've just been knitting my stash, and I had a kind of small, medium stash to begin with, so now it's definitely gotten small. It's definitely under 100 skeins. I think it's almost on 80 something or 90 something. But yeah, I'm just rambling now at this point, and I need to go finish packing. So until I talk to you guys next time, I hope you have a wonderful week and that you get to do all the things you love. Okay, bye guys.